schöne Machal bekommen. Die ist nicht mehr Schiffe, ihr Stuster. Die ist nicht gerne so das. Die ist nicht gerne so mach.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the end of the week review on our P&Ls of all the trades that we ended up taking throughout the week. So in this video, I'm going to go through all of the setups, explain why I took the trades, whether they were a win or a loss. I will explain what I was looking at the current point in time, and explain why we may have won or why we may have lost on each trade that we took. So hope you guys are able to learn from this video. Let's go ahead and hop straight into it. Starting off with gold, I do have my sheet right here. Hopefully you guys can see this, but this is where I started off the week. So I'm going to basically progress through every single day of the week of the trades that I took. Actually, you know what? The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go through every single pair that I took a trade in and just express every single trade that I took in all of the pairs. So starting with gold though, like I said, I did have my line right here when the market first opened up, because this was a line of support as I was seeing. So what I was waiting on, I was waiting for a break and close below this support line. So as you guys can see, it wicked out right here, it wicked out right here, and it wicked out right here. So once it got right here, when the market opened up, or when I was looking at the market, this is when I decided to take the trade, when it broke and closed. But as you guys can see, it did end up traveling back up and ended up hitting my stop loss. I thought it was going to continue to sell down once it broke structure, but you guys can see that did not happen. So that is why we lost that trade. And we're trying to just take small little scalps. So this is what I did. I took an L on this one, so I waited for it to come back to right here. And I hopped in again once it got to this resistance level, and I was in profit for a little bit. I should have just went ahead and took it, but I did think it was gonna come back down to here at least, but it did not. So it ended up coming back, hitting our stop loss again, and then I entered at this resistance level where I have this black line there currently. So I entered in at this resistance level and ended up, once I saw that this wick right here, I was like, okay, it's respecting my resistance level. And if you guys cannot see it, I can clear up some features. Let me see. Let me hide all of my indicators. So hopefully this is clear enough. All right, so as I said, I saw this long wick right here. So once I saw this wick, that was when I hopped in again, and it had closed below my line. So I was thinking, okay, it's still respecting this resistance. It's going to sell back down, and then it may buy back up. But it sold down for a little bit, and it faked me out. So that is what I want to talk about. I do want to talk about fake outs, because those are very, very, very important. You guys want to watch out for those. That's why a lot of traders say you want to get 2 candlestick confirmations, because you can get faked out. But I didn't get 2 candlestick confirmations. I just looked at this one candlestick, and then that next candlestick, it bought up, hit my stop loss again. So those are 3 scalps that I did lose on starting the week off, but we were able to come back with a win once it came up to this support line. I sold it again from 1805 down to 1802. So this was a very nice sell-off. We were able to gain some profits back, but still not yet recovered from the losses, those 3 losses that we took back to back. So we were able to recover some profits, but not fully. So now on to the next gold trade that we took, which is a little bit further down, because after that, I'm not gonna lie, I stayed away from gold for a little bit. But the next gold trade that we did take though was very, very, very profitable, and it was later on in the week that we took this trade. So this is the trade that I took right here. So let me zoom out and let me show you guys the setup. All right, so you guys see that we do have a triangle right here. I formed a triangle from my using the trend line tool to mark on my chart. So it's basically you have a primary trend and then you have a secondary trend, and that is what I use to form this triangle. So with this, basically how you want to trade it is break of structure. So if it broke below my triangle, then I was going to sell. But if it broke above it, then I was going to buy into the market. So once I got these two candlesticks to break and buy up, I want to zoom in. Now you guys see the setup, so I can zoom in a little bit and show you guys the candlesticks, because I definitely want to make sure you guys can see it. So once I got these two candlesticks buying up, that was when I hopped into the trade. I actually hopped in on this first break of structure because I basically knew that it was going to buy up. By that point in time, we had already got two bullish candlesticks. Now they weren't just the most bullish candlesticks, but it was good enough confirmation to let me know, okay, this market is ready to buy up. So I got in on this candlestick and then we caught it all the way up to here. So yep, we entered at 1794. So we entered at 1794, and that was when it where this basically wicked out at. So this wicked out, that was when I hopped in. Kind of came down a little bit, but it went all the way back up. So we hopped in at 1794 and bought it all the way up to 1798. So yep, about right up here is where I closed out at, about around this area. But it did end up going all the way up to 1805. So could have held that a little bit longer, honestly, and if I would have known that this was a structure level, I would have held it up. But it wasn't a structure level by that time, but it is now. So that is definitely something that we could look forward to in the future. Maybe a pullback zone or something of those sorts. But those were the trades that we ended up taking on gold, and we ended up profiting off of gold and made back everything that we had lost earlier on in the week, and ended that week off profitable with trading gold. Another thing that I do want to mention before I end up talking about gold is this right here. So I showed you guys my triangular setup, and now since it has broken through that structure, now it was used as a pullback zone, and it came all the way down back to my triangle. And guess what it did when it came back to my triangle? It wicked out and bought all the way back up. So once you break through your structure, it can also be used as a support level now, and that's what it was, or that's what it became. And now this is finna buy back up, and you guys see what happened. This was during New York time. As soon as it hit 9 o'clock Friday morning, that was when this move took place. I literally watched it happen. And I don't know why I didn't hop in a trade. I honestly do not know. But yeah, I literally watched this happen. Same thing with NAS and SPX. I watched both of those just shoot up. And it was sickening to watch, because I could have hopped in all those trades. Because I had to set up for all of them, as you guys will see. But once it breaks through that structure, it's going to pull back sometime. And then go all the way up through here. Now, let me show you guys the setup for next week. So remember this structure zone like I was telling you guys? Look, we had a momentum candle break through it. That is exactly what we want to see. So I know for sure that this market is probably going to sail back down, come back to this structure level, and then buy back up again. So that's a move that I'm looking to see for next week. And if it occurs, we're definitely going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to show you guys the results. All right, so now to our next trade. I do want to talk about NAS. And throughout this week, I told you guys that I was going to focus more on indices and get into indices more, and I did that. And most of it was scalps. Honestly, I was just trying to get quick little scalps in while I was trading. But we were able to be profitable, but we also took some losses on NAS. So I'm gonna go over the losses first that we took, which were 15,298, which I was in for a buy. So 15,298 is around about this area. This is where I hopped in at. So yeah, right here on this candlestick is where I hopped in, and as you guys can see, now that I'm looking at it, I definitely could have set my stop loss at a better area. Actually, let me review the dates. No, it was this one. All right, so it was this candlestick right here. So what I was seeing was, it came down and it wicked a lot actually, and that was when I first marked up this structure level. So I was seeing this, and what had happened was I hopped in a little bit early. I hopped in really early actually, and what had happened was this very, very, very long wick right here ended up stopping me out because I didn't set my stop loss outside of the zone. I set it outside of the support level that I had it at right here where this candlestick ended. I set it outside of that support level, and it ended up wicking me out. But as you guys can see, it ended up shooting up. Very crazy to see, because it happens. It definitely happens, but you just gotta live with it. You know, it's a lesson. Learn from it. But like I said, I didn't have this zone level marked up yet because only this candlestick had occurred. Once I saw the wicks and the wicks that it was having, I waited till the next candlestick. It wicked out again. I entered at 15,298, and then it kept on dropping. Ended up wicking me out, but it went in the direction that we were hoping to get. And we would have called, man, it would have been 100 pips right there. Well, not 100 pips. I'm sorry about that, but it would have been a good amount of pips going back up to this zone, which is where I would have set my TP. But as you guys can see, it did end up wicking out some more up here. So that is a structure level that we could hope to see, that this market fills it back in, which I do. As you guys can see, I have it set up right now for that, but I am hoping to see it come back down to this level right here for a sale, and then hopefully buy back up, because it do have to fill back in this zone right here. So that's what we're hoping to see for next week. But that was the first loss that we took. One of the wins that we did take though, 302. So this time I was a little bit more patient. I bought it from 302. Yeah, this one was a scalp right here. So I missed this entry. I missed these entries right here. But when I were able to catch it, I saw that it wicked out again right here. We got the confirmation candlestick, and this time I was patient. I waited until the end of this candlestick, or I waited until it closed, and I bought in at 302, and we were able to scalp it all the way up to this zone right here. So that was another win that we took, and we ended up very profitable with that, making back up for what we lost on this trade, or the earlier trade. And another loss that I had took was these right here. So as you guys can see, we got heavy consolidation going on right here, and I wasn't patient enough, honestly. I wasn't sure where the market was going to go, and that's why I kept on taking just losses after losses. But I ended up hopping in for sales and buys. So the sale, I ended up losing this one right here on this candlestick. So as you guys can see, it went outside of my structure level. I was about certain that it was about ready to sell, because it was having very bearish momentum, but it ended up, let me zoom in a little bit into that zone so you guys can see it for sure. All right. So ended up going outside my structure level a little bit, and it sold, but ended up pulling back, and I pulled out a little bit early because it did not break, and I knew that was a bad sale because it did not break structure yet, but ended up pulling out. That was a loss. So then I was thinking, okay, maybe it's gonna buy back up. So hopped in again on this candlestick right here, got in for a buy, and as you guys can see, it sold, it wicked out, hit my stop loss right here. Because it wicked out, hit my stop loss. I set my stop loss just a little bit outside of the support level. Hit my stop loss. Now I'm like, okay, this market's getting ready to sell. So I hopped in for a sale. Again, wicked out. I mean, this time it didn't even wick out. It just bought back up, hit my stop loss. And then it sold on the next candlestick. So it did go in the direction that I was hoping for. It just didn't go in the direction in time for me to become profitable. So these were some night trades, and I am on a 1 hour time frame, but this right here, yeah, ended up going in the direction that we were hoping for. Maybe I should have waited, honestly, but well, not maybe, I definitely should have waited, but as you guys can see, it would have been a profitable trade, but it ended up stopping me out. So the win that we did take on Nas though was another scalp that we had, that we were able to catch. And let me look for my entry. 297. All right, so those were the losses that we had took. Now on to the wins. 297. I was able to get a win on this candlestick right here. So I caught a I marked this wrong. This one was a buy. So 297 to 281. So yes, right here. This one was the one that I was talking about. I just collected profits, honestly, but hopped in, like I said before, for a buy. Caught this when the candlestick closed, bought it up, closed profits early, ended up going to this zone where we did end up closing profits early, and we're very profitable. So that was 297 to 281, which is pretty good profits on Nas if you get the right lot size. And then we were able to get some scalps when it came back down to 275. So that was about down here. We were just getting some quick scalps in the market and just profitable off that. We got about 5 trades. Yeah, we got 5 trades on that, and they weren't just very profitable, but we were able to get some because we were deep in profit. Then it ended up retracing a little bit, and I closed out of it early. But if I would have just stayed patient, as you guys can see, we would have had big profits on that. And the end of the market of Nas was another trade that we had ended up catching. So let me get rid of this real quick. I know the setup for it that I'm looking for. Let me hide these. So what I started to see right here was the market slowing down, and we were able to profit off of it. So I'm gonna be honest, I was just going off my candlesticks. These two right here. So first one is this one. I saw this, and as you guys can see, it was like wicking out a lot right here. Like, I was watching, like I said, before the market ending, I was just watching this take place. So once I saw this wicking out like this, I hopped in on the next candlestick and was able to catch this sale all the way to this wick, literally to the end of this wick. I caught that sale and then I closed out of it. I got stopped out actually right here at 393 was where I got stopped out at, because that's just where I set my I moved my stop loss up into profit, because I actually thought this was going to sell back down. But like I said earlier, it's going to fill back in its zone. We're just going to wait for it to happen next week. But it went up. Now it had filled this wick in, and now we're looking for it to sell and come back down and fill back in the rest of this empty zone right here. So that was the profit that I ended up putting, I think, on Nas, and it was pretty back and forth, I think. And Nas in total, we ended up kind of breaking even, mainly because of the scalps that I kept on hopping in and out of that were out of profit. But we did end up breaking even on Nas, so wasn't just too bad overall, but could have been better. All right, so to the next setup is SPX. I didn't take any wins on SPX, and that was mainly because of discipline. Honestly, we were in profits on both trades, but we just didn't come out on top once the trade ended. So I'm gonna show you guys what I was looking at and why I decided to hop in SPX for a sale. But this trend line right here that I have, this been going on. This was a trend line that was going on for a while, and what I saw was it broke not only a zone, but it broke this trend line. It sold back down. It retraced. Now, if I was there for the initial move, then I would have been profitable. But I was not looking at my chart at the point in time, and I forgot to set an alert. So that was bad mistake on my end. Definitely set alert, guys, because if I would have got this alert, you guys see what would have happened. That's crazy. But I did hop in a little bit late. I saw this candlestick, and then I saw this candlestick. I was like, okay, we got a lot of bearish momentum going. So I was thinking that the market was going to sell down more, and I ended up hopping in for a sale right here where my dotted line is at. And like I said, we were in profit for a little bit, and then it ended up retracing, and then we came back in profit for a little bit, like this long wick right here. We have a very long wick, but we ended up coming back in profit for a little bit, but ended up getting stopped out. So if I would have took those profits, I mean, it wasn't a whole lot, but profits is profit, and we just did not come out on top on that trade, so it ended up retracing and stopping us out. But learning lesson from this point, just you gotta be on it, man. I was not on it, and you see what happened. Hopped in late, ended up getting stopped out. But whereas if I would have hopped in on time and where I initially had my chart marked up at, we would have been very, very profitable. So that was a mistake on my end, but learning point, we're gonna catch it next time. So the next loss that we had took was another sale all the way up here. As you guys can see, I was in this trade, and what I started to see was the bulls were losing momentum. So we got this very long candlestick. We started to get wicks, another one, and as you guys can see, the candles are getting smaller and smaller. So that's a clear indication that the bulls are losing momentum. And just in case you guys cannot see, let me get rid of this. And that is also another trade setup that I'm looking forward to next week. Because like I said, same thing with Nas. I'm looking forward to fill back in that area. But Candlestick started to get smaller and smaller. I caught this candlestick once I saw this bearish movement, and we were in profit, but this long wick right here ended up stopping us out. So ended up getting stopped out of that trade, and I mean, we weren't just getting a whole lot of bearish momentum anyway, but that was the other trade that I ended up losing on SPX, and that was pretty much it for SPX for the week. I missed this move, but let me show you guys the buy that we could have caught, the setup for it. So this is almost like an inverted head and shoulder. Oh, I'm bad. You guys peep the Itachi wallpaper. But this is almost like an inverted head and shoulders. It's not a perfect one, but this was a level of support. Boom, it broke through, came back, broke through again. We got a momentum candlestick breaking through, came back and touched the support and bought back up. So that's that was the setup for that buy, and I was looking at it happen. I saw this wick out, and I should have hopped in once this was wicking out down here. I think I was looking at another setup when this was taking place, so I wasn't able to hop in and catch that movement, but it is what it is. You know, it's fine. We're gonna catch the next one, like I said, because I'm looking for this to come back down to this support and then buy back up, or about somewhere in this zone right here. So that's what I'm looking forward to next week, and we're gonna see if we can catch that momentum right there. Our next trade setup is USDCAD. We were in for a buy on USDCAD, and what I was looking to see was a break of this structure, this green line right here, and we ended up getting it. I know that this is a demand area, so I saw they respected my demand area. It bought up. Next thing I was looking for a confirmation of was the break of this structure right here. We got that, and I hopped in at 226,250, but you guys can see it went out of profit, then it came back. It was in profit for a little bit, not that long, honestly, from the time that I entered, and then it ended up retracing back down and hitting my stop loss. One thing that I would say is I should have hopped in at my demand area instead of up here, because that way I would have been able to have a better stop loss, and I more than likely would have got stopped out. So I should have hopped in at my supply area and took that trade then and bought up, because you guys can see this is a lot of pips. It went up for a lot of pips, man. That went up for, if I would have hopped in at my, oh my god, that went up for over 1,000 pips. That went up for over 1,000 pips. So we ended up missing that, but it's all good. We're definitely going to catch the next one, because it's back down here. Now, what I'm thinking is, now that it has broken through, it's retraced, I think it's finna get ready to buy back up now. I think it's gonna fill back in this area and buy back up to right here, and then maybe retrace down. Not too sure yet, but we will see. We got a double top, so it may sell again. Who knows? We'll see by the time next week, though, once we get more confirmation on where this market is going to go to. But that was the setup for that one, and that was the loss for that one. So the next setup is GBPJPY. We ended up taking a win and a loss on this one. Could have been 2 wins, but I ended up closing out early because I didn't think this trade was going to go in the right direction. But ended up looking for a sell on this opportunity, and we were definitely able to catch one. I hopped in. When it retraced, I got stopped out at first, and yeah, that was the loss. But I hopped in again because I feel like it was just the market knew where my stop loss was. I just felt like the market knew where my stop loss was, but it was still a good setup. Ended up selling that down. I thought it was going to go back down to this level, but once I saw that it was respecting this support level right here, that was when I decided to close out, and we ended up taking out our profits with that. So ended up coming out with a whole lot of profit, and that was definitely a win on that trade. So ended up making back what we lost from when we got stopped out, and ended up winning on that trade. So that was the setup for GBPJPY. I hopped in this trade because of break of structure. I got a resistance and I got a support level right here. So I was going to see which zone that it was going to break. I saw they were respecting my supply area that I had, and it wanted to sell back down because it never did break above it. So as long as it don't break above my supply area, hey, I'm gonna hop in. And as you guys can see, it still didn't break above my supply area, so this trade is still good for a sale. We may be able to take advantage of it for next week as well, and it'll be a double top. So boom, double top. We could maybe take this trade again where it will make a M. So yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna hop in this trade this week as soon as the market open back up. But that's pretty good setup. So I hopped in once it broke this structure right here. Ended up coming back up, hitting my stop loss, but it sold back down. We were able to hop in again once it broke back down through, and able to catch that sale. So that was my setup for GBPJPY. Next setup is EURJPY. Now the first setup did not go as planned because I hopped in as soon as it touched my resistance level. That's where I hopped in for the trade. So I'm gonna show you guys the setup because I've been looking at this for a while, and it ended up playing out exactly like how I thought it would. We're also gonna hop in this trade again next week because I see a double top. I feel like this is going to sell down even more, but this is the full setup. So I had this marked up last week, and I was waiting for this move to take place. So as you guys can see, I was thinking this market was either going to respect this and buy back up, or we're going to break through and sell down. So it ended up breaking through, sold all the way down here. I was waiting for this to come back up, and it did. It touched, but like I said, I hopped in as soon as it touched the green line. Ended up getting stopped out the first time, but the next time I hopped in, it sold down. I was waiting for it to retouch again, and we were able to this time now put our stop loss outside of where it wicked out last time. So it went up to that level again, but we didn't get stopped out this time. So we didn't get stopped out this time, and we caught this sale. I closed out early, but I do see an opportunity for us to hop back in this trade and collect profits. So we're gonna see how it respects this zone, and if it continues to. I see this as a supply area now, so this is definitely a supply area, a very strong supply area, and if it continues to respect it, we're gonna hop in for another sale and collect our profits for this week. So EURNZD is next, and my TP was much higher than this. The reason I shortened it down is to show you guys where I got in and where I hopped in at. Where I hopped out at. So this is definitely a 3-to-1 zone though. But as you guys can see, this is my demand area right here, and it was respecting it. I was waiting for it to close back outside of my demand area, which it did on this candlestick right here. It wicked out right here. This is where I hopped in on this candlestick. Once it came back down, I started, it was still wicking out. So I hopped in on this candlestick, and we basically caught this short move right here. And I didn't want to hold this for a longer period of time, but I saw that it was reversing. So we ended up hopping out early, and I liked the profits that I was at, I liked the profits that I had, so I closed out. Honestly, that's all it was. I just took my profits because this was later on in the week, and it wasn't looking too pretty. So I saw the profits. I was up about $20, I want to say, No, I took 2 entries. I was up $40. So I took that, closed out, took my profits, and we were good. Now on to the last trade setup, which is GBPNZD. And for this one, same principle. This was also a supply and demand area, but I hopped in at the demand, and what I was waiting for is exactly what you guys see. These candlesticks right here, I hopped in right after this candlestick closed. So I hopped in at 219, and we were able to close out at 358. So hopped in at 219, closed out at 358, and I actually didn't even know that it sold down all the way this far, but this was honestly, I'm not gonna say a scalp. I just saw profits and I took it. That's really what it was, because I planned on swing trading this, but if I see now, I'm glad I did it, because if I would have swing traded, yeah, we would have got stopped out. But ended up hopping in at 219. I started respecting my demand area, and we ended up taking profits at 358 or 398. I want to say. No, it was 358. So we closed out at 358, took our profits, and that was the end of that trade. That will be the end of the video. So let's get ready to wrap things up. I hope you guys really was able to learn from some of the mistakes that I made, but also pick up on the analysis that I were able to be successful on. So I hope this video helped you guys, and if so, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back next week with some more trade setups and see if we can become more profitable than we were last week or this previous week. So it's all about growing. As long as we can continue to grow and get better, it's all that matters. But I'll see you guys next week. I'm out.